Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, December the 10th today, and we'd like to welcome you to Elevate Your Bridge with Kurt Sola here on LearnBridge Online. So let's do some housekeeping stuff first. I'm going to send information on tech support. Put it in the chat. If you're having trouble with your tech, you can't hear, first of all, try reloading the page. Sometimes that'll work. If that's not going to work for you, then you got an email in your inbox about half an hour ago, and it will have a backup link on it. So you can go to that email and hit the backup link. There's also a click for support link. Just where are we over here? Click on that, and that will give you some ideas as to what to do. Hello, John. How are you? And if that doesn't work, don't panic. There's going to be a replay posted on your LearnBridge Online lesson library. So you just go to your members page and you can play this as many times as you want. So I'd also like to remind everybody to answer lots of questions. In the chat, down where it's got send a message, just if you have any questions at all, please ask them, because there's going to be a lot of people watching this on replay and they're going to have the same questions as you. So have we got Kurt with us in here today? We've got some burning questions for him.
I'm actually in hyperspace right now, but
oh, it looks like he's in a spaceship or something today.
Oh yeah, this is I'm piloting the Millennium Falcon today, actually. So
well, that's really funny, because when I first heard your name, I thought your last name was Solo. So I always pictured you as a Jedi Knight.
Yeah. Well, remember, Han Solo was not a Jedi.
Han Solo.
Yeah.
So my question is, if you could be a character in a movie or a book, what character would you be?
Oh, character in a movie or book. I mean, I'm not really a smuggler, but I mean, it would be kind of cool to be Han Solo.
There you go.
So, and maybe he's not a Jedi, but Luke had to do a lot of stuff. He had to get his X-Wing fighter out of a swamp. He had to try and save his father,
I
from
know,
the dark side and all that. Little too much responsibility for me there. So I think I will go with Captain Solo.
Solo.
And then I get my own spaceship, and sometimes the warp drive actually works. So, how's that sound?
Captain Solo. Oh, we've got somebody saying you should be a spy.
Oh, okay. I like John. Now I like this from John. I got to tell you, I do. It's been a while. I like a good martini, which that does make me eligible to be James Bond, right?
Do you like it stirred and not shaken, though?
I can live with that. I can go with it. Yeah. One of my and it's really it's the Bond humor. One of my all-time favorites that was it Never Say Never Again, and she comes flying up on the water skis and runs right into him, and he's holding his drink, and she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you're all wet now." He says, "That's okay, my martini's still dry." So that is the essence of James Bond right there for you, right? So if only I could be that smooth.
So if I end up calling you Solo instead of Sola, please forgive me.
No worries there.
Okay. Well, it looks like we're on the hour here. So did you want to start up the recording?
Yeah, let's get on the record here, and we can start talking some bridge.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, there we go.
All right, here we are. It is
Off to the races.
Chance today, and I'd like to welcome everybody, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. Everybody, welcome to Elevate Your Bridge with Kurt Solo. I said it, Soloff.
There you go.
Here on the Bridge Online. So we're glad to have everybody here with Captain Solo. And what are we going to be talking about today, Kurt?
We're going to talk about a couple of high-level opening bridge conventions, a little some stuff to supplement your card. Gambling 3-No Trump and Namyats today.
And they're fun treatments, really fun treatments. Gives you something else to think about. So if you've got any questions, make sure that you send them to the chat. Lots of people are going to be watching online or on the replay. So if you have a question that gives Kurt some idea of what you're thinking, so that maybe he can tailor his presentation a little bit. And we'll see you at the end of your session, Kurt. Thank you.
Right. Sounds good to me. All right, everybody. Welcome. Glad you could join us. And live, replay, whatever works. As I said, we're going to talk about a couple of supplementary items for your convention card. One thing I always like to tell people, do not feel compelled to try to play every convention in the book. Sometimes that fouls people up more than it helps. The conventions that we're talking about today, while they're relatively simple, they're not real complicated, there's not a lot of memory work involved, they are what I would term luxury bids, right? You know, there are those conventions like Stamen and transfers and negative doubles that you really can't be competitive without. And then there are a whole bunch of conventions that are nice, they're useful, but not necessarily high priority. And so, you add them to your card as you build a card with your regular partners, and you don't worry about these too much in your casual partnerships or those one-offs where you find a partner from the partnership desk or with your local club manager or whatever. So I do want to be clear that these are not high priority gadgets, but they're useful if and when you are willing to add them to your system. So let's start with that. High level opening bids. All right. Most of these are preemptive, and I'm thinking 3-level, 4-level, really starting with 3-No Trump and above. Of course, most of your suit bids will just be natural, right? They'll be preemptive. If you're opening a suit at the 4 level, usually that is an 8-card suit. Rarely, maybe it's a really good 7-card suit and you're stretching a little bit, something like that. But typical expectation is that a 4-level suit opening is a fairly weak hand with an 8-card suit. A 3-No Trump opening, absent any other agreement, would be strong and balanced, a very strong hand. Now, a lot of regular and certainly expert partnerships will frequently find some other meanings for these bids, and you have a few options. In particular, we are talking about 3-No Trump, 4 clubs, and 4 diamonds. 4 hearts and 4 spades, usually we don't mess with those, right? For just about everyone, those are preemptive hands with a long major. Yeah, when you open 4 of a major, maybe you're trying to shut your opponents out of the auction, but also you might actually make this hand, right? Depends what kind of help you get from partner. It's probably going to have some play just because you have such a distributional hand with this long suit, right? It's probably going to have a chance even when partner doesn't give you a whole lot. The other bids, though, I think should be a little more negotiable. And so we are going to discuss some of these alternate uses, and in particular, gambling 3-no trump and Namyats with your 4 of a minor bids. So that is our plan today. Now, I think we want to start by saying that opening 3-no trump with a strong balanced hand, not a good use of that bid. Why? Well, pretty simple. We already have a forcing opening, right? The whole reason that we have 2 clubs as an all-purpose forcing opening is so that we don't have to open the bidding 3-no trump or really any other high-level bid. When you have a really good hand, you would prefer to conserve some bidding space. And yeah, your partner often may not have much when your hand is that strong, but wherever possible, we'd like to involve partner in the process. You can always, even if you know you want to play 3-no trump, your hand is strong enough and it's balanced, and you think you might be able to take 9 tricks with no help from your partner, can't you always bid it later? Can't you always start with your forcing 2 clubs and then bid 3-no anyhow? Sure. So to open 3-no with a strong hand is redundant. It also tends to take partner out of the auction. And that's why I say responder is a little bit handcuffed by a 3-no opening. You lose a lot of bidding space. Already bidding space is at a premium. It's not like 2 clubs is ideal for that. Even with our 2 club opening, we tend to eat up a lot of bidding space, but we have to have a forcing bid in any system, right? And there is always that possibility if you open 2 clubs that will leave you a little more room to exchange information, and partner might be able to tell you about a suit, or we find a fit, and then you can make a slam try. Whereas if you open 3-no trump, the responder often, unless the responder has an unlikely good hand here, your partner's probably going to be stuck with just passing 3-no most of the time, and that's going to be the contract. That's fine if there is nothing greater available to you, but if there is, you might miss it. And then with any convention, I think we have to talk about frequency. And when I prioritize the conventions that I like to play, and look, there's some that I really like, there are some that I don't like, and then there are quite a few that are negotiable. And I usually, if I'm not playing in a real regular partnership, I usually default to whatever my partner is comfortable with. I don't want to push a new convention on a partner if this person is used to playing something different. Okay. But when we talk about frequency, how often do you pick up a 25, 26 point hand? Not very often, right? So even looking beyond the redundancy of, well, we can show this hand starting with 2 clubs, do we really need a bid in our system that shows a super strong balanced hand like this? I mean, I don't pick up a hand like this once a year. Maybe once every 2 or 3 years on average. I haven't been tracking it, but that's what it feels like. Not very common. So do I really want to designate a bid just to show this hand that I'm not likely to pick up? Doesn't seem very useful. So if 3-no is not strong and balanced, and by the way, you may be saying, and this is fact, the robots do play this as strong. So if you're playing on BBO and you do see a 3-no opening from your robot partner, or you make a 3-no opening, this is what the robot is showing or will expect you to have for the bid. Well, what could you do otherwise? Well, you could play gambling 3 no trump. And we'll talk a little bit about how that works and how your partner responds to it when you use this bid. But what it essentially is a minor suit preemptive hand with a couple of qualifiers to it, namely a solid suit. So let's chat a little bit more about that. And this is an example of the type of hand that would use a gambling 3 no trump opening. The expectation is a solid 7-card suit. I think you can get away with missing the jack, but you certainly need ace, king, queen. Ace, king, queen, 10 is nice because having the 10 comes into play. Let's say partner only has a singleton or even a void in your suit. Void is a bit of a problem, as you'll see where we're heading with this discussion. But let's say you're missing 6 cards in the suit. Well, they can divide 4-2, and if the jack falls doubleton, your 10 becomes an important card. You're not necessarily relying on a 3-3 split. So when we talk about a solid suit, that's what we mean. Ace, king, queen for sure, heading your suit. Jack is ideal. If not the jack, we can live with the 10. The idea here is that you want to have the expectation of 7 winners from this suit. So that's what we're looking at here, right? Ace, king, queen, jack, 9, 7th in the example hand. It would be rather unlikely that you have a club loser here, right? It would take something extraordinary like one opponent having 5 clubs to the 10. That would be extremely unlucky and statistically unlikely. Yeah, a suit that will run without help from partner. Yes, if you have this long suit, is someone else at the table likely to have a long suit? Yeah, those odds certainly increase, that we don't know for sure. It is somewhat uncommon that you have a hand like this and everybody else at the table is just looking at a balanced hand. Usually more extreme distribution in your hands suggests more extreme distribution in other hands as well, but we don't know for sure. The other criterion for your gambling 3 no opening is that you don't have an outside ace or king. That hand should be bid differently, because if you have an outside ace or king, that hand is getting to be a bit too good for a gambling 3 no opening. And you can treat it a little differently. Take this same hand and, give us the ace of hearts instead of the jack. And now I would just open 1 club. And then I would try to bid this hand pretty aggressively later in the auction. But I would start with 1 club. And then you can always, jump rebid later. Sometimes we can jump rebid 3 no when we have a source of tricks. There are some other possibilities for how to bid that hand. So this would be a very typical looking gambling 3 no trump. And by the way, if you play gambling 3 no, as far as I know, it does still require an alert since it's not natural, even though it's a very common treatment. I could be wrong about that. It may not require an alert, but there wouldn't be any harm even if it's not required. I'm not looking at my latest convention card, and I don't remember if that shows up in red on the card or not. In any case, yeah, that is what the hand looks like. Now, the bigger question, I think, comes from the responder. And what do you do if your partner opens a gambling 3 no? Should you sit for it? Well, that's the part of this that I guess would constitute the gamble, right? Do you sit for partner's 3 no and hope to be able to take your dying tricks? Well, You are going to need outside stoppers because remember, your partner is denying an outside ace or king. Now, your partner can have a little something outside, like a jack or here or a queen there, or something like that. So your partner might have a partial stopper in one of the other suits, but they're certainly not promising that. It's not usually very hard to tell as responder what suit your partner has. If you have a high honor and a minor suit, your partner's got the other minor, right? Usually this is a suit that you're probably fairly short in it, right? Maybe just a singleton or a doubleton, even a void, rarely. And I suppose you could be looking at something like a jack and say, well, that could be partner suit still if they opened missing the jack. But certainly any suit that you're looking at an ace, king, queen in, that's not your partner suit. If you have good enough outside stoppers, you can leave 3-no in and you can pass and let partner play it there. The idea is if you have just a little something outside, you have a good chance to get to 9 tricks, right? Because in theory, your partner is going to deliver 7 of the tricks you need to make 3-no. Now, important item here, be sure that you have at least 1 card in partner suit. If you are void, that's a problem because to run the suit, partner has to be able to get into his hand, right? And we don't think the defense is going to oblige you by leading that suit. Not when they know you to have a solid suit. That would be a rather poor choice of opening leads, right? So you need to be sure that you not only have stoppers, but that your partner can, in fact, get 2-hand to run the long suit. If you don't want to sit for 3-no, you have an unstopped suit or multiple unstopped suits. We need to get out of 3-no and just play 4 of partner's minor. Now, that may not be ideal. We may not have 10 tricks, even if we play in the suit. We might, again, partner's got that distributional hand. We might, but you're not necessarily going to make this contract. That's okay. Don't worry about that. If you opened a preemptive 4 clubs or 4 diamonds, you wouldn't necessarily be expecting to make that contract either, right? That's why you're preempting. You're thinking more about inconveniencing the opponents than collecting a plus score your way. If you make your contract, a lot of times here, that's just kind of a bonus, right? So that's kind of where we're headed with our gambling 3-no. Why don't we... good question here. Is a 3-no trump as gambling opening only in first and second seat or in all seats? It makes most sense in first and second seat. I sometimes, if I get around to discussing it with my partners, if we say we're playing gambling 3-no, my personal preference is to play gambling 3-no in first and second seat and to play more of an A-call style 3-no in third and fourth, where I'm actually bidding to make. But it's not like 25 points balance. It's a similar hand, but with outside stuff, right? Imagine a solid or close to solid 6 or 7 card minor plus another outside ace and king. Something like that. That's a hand where you start to feel pretty good about making 3-no with no help from partner. So I actually that's the hand type I kind of like 3-no to be in third and fourth. The other thing is too, in practice, even if you're sitting in third or fourth seat with this type of hand, a lot of times somebody opens ahead of you, right? The gambling 3-no hand is not necessarily a very common hand type. I pick it up now and then, but sometimes when I pick up the hand for the gambling 3-no trump. I'm in third or fourth seat, and then somebody else opens the bidding ahead of me, whether it's partner or an opponent, and now I don't get to make the bid, right? Because everything kind of changes after somebody else starts getting their information into the auction, especially if it's partner, right? So yeah, sometimes you have the hand type and you don't necessarily get to open it, but it does make a fair amount of sense in early position, where it's kind of doubling as, okay, we could actually be staying here and trying to make 3-no, or we could be doing this preemptively. All right, Shauna, really late? Are you getting later and later, Shauna? Has the name changed from Shauna to late Shauna to really late Shauna? I like how it's dynamic and current with your level of lateness. Hey, this is why we have recordings. It's all right. You can always go back and catch up. Thanks for checking on that, Shauna. Yeah, I did think it was still alertable. Makes sense, since it is not a natural bid. So do alert that if you play it. So why don't we go to the table here and let's take a look at a couple of examples of what would be pretty good gambling 3-no type hands. And we'll even put the alert on there as discussed. So this north hand, good candidate for it, right? We're going to call this a solid diamond suit. Ace, king, queen, 10, good enough. No outside ace or king. You've got the queen of clubs outside, but that would not disqualify the hand from being able to make the bid. So I don't think that East would be getting into the auction here at this level. So if you're South, you say, well, looks like partner has a diamond suit. I guess it could be a club suit, but your diamonds are shorter and you have no honors there. So it certainly looks like partner has diamonds. You've got good stoppers in the heart suit, but you are wide open in the spade suit. So I don't think that you should be sitting for 3-no with this particular hand. So what would we do? Even if you think your partner suit is diamonds, the best thing to do is bid 4 clubs here as a pass or correct bid, right? And we see this sometimes in other situations, the old pass or correct. So this says, partner, please pass. If clubs is your suit, otherwise bid 4 diamonds. And I think that's where we would end up. And as you're looking at this hand, you might say, well, it looks like 4 diamonds fails. And you would be correct. Unless the defense makes a somewhat egregious error, 4 diamonds will go down a trick. You'll lose a spade. You'll lose a couple of clubs. And the king of hearts is offside. Now, that's not so bad, right? If East held the king of hearts, you'd actually have play to make 4 diamonds. I don't feel too bad about down 1, and not simply because we all like to say down 1 is good bridge, but East-West can make a spade part score here. They can make 3 spades. And we have managed to shut them out of the auction, right? I suspect a lot of you, especially if you are not playing gambling 3-no, may be opening the north hand 1 diamond. And that's not unreasonable, right? You've got the great diamond suit. You have 11 high card points. When we figure in your distribution, is there anything wrong with calling this a 1 diamond opening? No, there isn't anything wrong with the bid itself. But look at what happens if North opens 1 diamond. Aren't we going to hear a 1 spade overcall? East has a perfectly good 1 level overcall with 9 points and a 5 card major. All right. If we get a 1 spade overcall, South could get involved with a negative double, but now West is going to be raising. West has a limit raise in spades, right? Well, you know how these battles normally end, right? The spades win. the boss suit wins. We don't outbid the opponents very often when they have spades. And when we do outbid them, often they are doubling us because we're sacrificing, right? So 4 diamonds is, I guess, a good sacrifice against 3 spades. You're a lot less likely to get doubled if you bid it preemptively than if you start fooling around and you open a diamond and they find their spade fit and you bid more diamonds. And then either the opponents get to the 3 level and we give up because we've decided we have enough, or if we compete to 4 diamonds, now I think we are asking to be penalized. And again, that wouldn't work out too badly here because of the vulnerability, but that's not usually the way we would prefer to bid the hand. We would much prefer to just not even give them a chance to communicate. And it works. It's very effective on hands like this where the high card points are kind of divided. If one opponent has 17 or 18 points, they might be willing to get in there after our gambling opening. They might be able to double, or if they have a long suit, they might overcall it. But when nobody else has a really long suit, or nobody else has the concentration of values, it would be very dangerous for them. Either east or west would be very dangerous for either of those opponents to be coming in here at the 4 level, right? So this is where we see some benefit. Yeah, that's a possibility too. As we've talked about nuisance bids recently, John is saying, maybe 4 diamonds. That is certainly on the radar if you don't have a gambling 3-no. And it's on the radar if your suit is not solid, right? Now, again, normally that's an 8-card suit, but we might push the envelope a little bit there. Let's look at another one where responder might deal with this a little bit differently. So now there's the full deal, ace, king, queen, and jack, and only the jack of diamonds outside for east here. So I'm curious, what would all of you do sitting west? Your partner has a solid minor suit. It could be either minor. It looks to be clubs just because of your shortness there. Seems like clubs is the probable. Well, if partner has 7 solid clubs, we can actually see 9 tricks here, can't we? 7 club winners and the ace and king of hearts. And east will be able to get to hand with that 9 of clubs, right? You have a spade stopper. You have a double spade stopper, I guess. So you're not wide open there. You don't have a high honor in diamonds, but you do have some length. What do you think? 10-9-4 of diamonds, is that good enough? I think I would sit for it. And it does make on this hand. Yeah, let's talk about the lead in a second because that's worth discussing as well. So 3-no on the lie of the cards is actually cold. Now, I will say that there is a way to go wrong. If a small spade is led from the ace, east is on a guess, right? Do you put up the king or do you put up the jack? Once you get in, you have 9 winners to run. If they lead a spade and you put up the king, you're actually going to take 10 tricks. They can go after the diamonds. If South chooses a diamond lead, they can take the top 3 diamonds, but that jack doubleton coupled with 10-9-4 in the dummy, you actually have 3 diamond losers, but not 4. So the best that the defense can do technically is take 3 diamonds and the ace of spades, and you have the rest. But we can see where you might go down 1. I mean, it's close enough that it seems to me like it's worth a shot. And when you bring this home, this is probably a good result, right? Making 3-0 Trump on, what do we have here? 21, 22 combined points. That's pretty nice. That's a good board, I think. Now, while we're on the subject of gambling 3-0, and before we leave the subject, since we're about to move into some new territory, it is a good idea to make a very attacking lead against a gambling 3-0 auction. If you have an ace, a lot of times it's a good idea to lay down the ace. If you don't have an ace, it's a good idea to lead from a king or a queen. You know, who knows what you have as the opening leader. You may have a fairly weak hand, but attack. This is not a time to be passive. We're going to be talking about passive defense next week, but this is not a hand to be passive. It turns out if South lays down the ace of spades, now they have to immediately switch to diamonds to take the 3 tricks that they're entitled to. I would love the ace of spades lead if I'm declaring this hand, because I say, ooh, I think that guarantees my contract, and they better take their 3 diamonds if they want them. Otherwise, I've got an over trick. So yeah, if you're defending against this, be prepared to go on the attack. This is pretty important. You don't want to do anything cowardly. Certainly don't lead a suit that might be declares long suit, right? Don't make a passive club lead here. And like with that South hand on lead, even a heart lead, sure, it could be the right lead. It could be that your partner has a couple of heart honors and that's your best lead. But I would make a more attacking lead, give yourself a chance to take a look at the dummy. You could lay down the ace of spades, and if dummy's hearts are not that good and they've decided to sit for 3-0, you could try switching to a heart if that's the way to beat it. So that's, I think, a lot of the merit to an attacking lead. You may give yourself a second chance if you lay down an ace. But yeah, I would sit for this one, and if it went down a trick, I wouldn't feel terrible about being in 3-0. Should have pretty good play here. Okay. Let's move into a little different territory here and talk about some other high-level bids. And I want to introduce Namyats to you by giving you a hand that can be a little bit of a problem. This is a nice hand. And I think when you pick up a hand like this, the spade suit is almost self-sufficient, but you are missing the queen, right? So you could have a spade loser here. You've got some outside stuff. But if this hand is played in spades, don't you like your chances to make 4 spades? You don't really need much help from your partner. But you wouldn't want to open 4 spades because that's a weak hand. That's a weak hand with long spades and probably little to nothing outside of your spade suit. And if partner has a good hand, you might miss a slam doing something like that. On the other hand, it's not a 2-club opener. Now, this hand does have enough that if you opened it 2 clubs, you would not get in trouble, at least not in ACBL land. It's not illegal, but it's a bad idea. I am not a proponent of stretching 2-club openers very often. So I don't think it's a good idea here. So what are you stuck with? Well, for most people, you open 1 spade. Now, a lot of times that's fine. Partner will be able to scrape up a response. You can always bid 4 spades when it comes back to your rebid, right? If partner doesn't bid, well, maybe an opponent will overcall and you'll get a second chance, and then you can bid 4 spades, right? But there is that slight possibility that it goes one spade, all pass, and you declare one spade and partner tables very little, and yet it still is enough for you to make a game. I mean, if partner gives you only the queen of clubs and nothing else, isn't four spades going to have some play? Because you only have one heart loser. The queen of spades might drop. You know, what if partner has a couple small spades and the queen of clubs? The queen might drop. You don't lose a trump. You only lose maybe one club, a heart. If you're actually able to get to the dummy, you might be able to take a diamond finesse. You might get a diamond opening lead, which solve all your problems for you. So many paths that you can make four spades with almost nothing from partner. And that's the fear, right? A lot of people, the reason I think sometimes maybe people panic a little bit and they stretch too much and open two clubs with a hand like this, because they're worried that they're missing something, right? And while that's not likely, it is possible. So what do you do? What do you do to make sure that you get to play four spades while neither overstating nor undervaluing your hand? Well, this is what Namiats solves for you. Little background there. Thank you, Babs. Yes, Stamen backwards. What's funny about regular Stamen is that my understanding it wasn't actually invented by Sam Stamen, but it's attributed to him. And yet he was, I think, more involved with developing Namiats. And so we give him his credit that way with by spelling it backwards. Plus, it's kind of fun to say, right? Shauna's with me on that. Although if you try to say it several times quickly, it might be a bit of a tongue twister, right? Okay, so how does this work? Well, it uses the 4 club and 4 diamond bids as opening hands to show these good major suit hands. These too good for preempt, not quite good enough to be a 2 club opener hands. And the lower ranking minor corresponds to the lower ranking major. So 4 clubs shows hearts. Likewise, the 4 diamond opening shows spades. So this will always get you to game, right? If you're opening 4 clubs, you're going to end up in at least 4 hearts. If you open 4 diamonds, you're going to end up in 4 spades. I'm laughing a little bit. I a couple of years ago, thinking that this is the fall nationals, I was playing with Dave Hardy, and and I think in the blue ribbon pairs, we had an Namiats auction come up, and it's on our card. So I had a nice hand with a spade suit. I opened 4 diamonds, and Dave raised me to 5 diamonds. He forgot we were playing Namiats, and then I bid 5 spades, and then he remembered. And I escaped. We had we had 11 tricks. In fact, I think we had 12 tricks. I don't think we were going to bid a slam. So yes, just as I tell you, this is a fairly easy convention to remember. It could be forgotten just like any other, right? In any event, that's what the bids show. And so again, these are bids that should be alerted since they are not natural. I would not pin you to a specific point count per se. These are hands that we are really evaluating more in terms of tricks than in terms of points. So, I can envision a Namiats hand with maybe only 14 or 15 high card points. Maybe it's closer to like 18 or 19. But really thinking more in terms of tricks, I think the usual expectation might be like 7.5 to 8 tricks. A 2 club opener is usually more like 9 tricks. And of course, we look at our long suit. If it's solid or almost solid, we can, give ourselves all of those cards as tricks, or maybe all but one. Outside ace would be a trick. Outside king, yeah, maybe half a trick. A full trick if it's got a queen with it, right? Because we can force out the ace and ensure a trick. That's kind of what we're looking at here. If you can see around 7.5 tricks where just a couple of winners out of the dummy will get you to a making major suit game, that's kind of what you have in mind. Now, if we're playing Namyats, and I think about one of my mentors always reminding me early on as I was becoming obsessed with various conventions that I wanted to add to my card, anytime we take on a bid as artificial, we are giving something up, right? And you have to weigh what you are giving up against what you gain. So we are losing a natural preempt of 4 clubs or 4 diamonds if we play this convention, right? Is that bad? I don't think so. I don't pick up that many hands where I want to bid exactly 4 clubs or 4 diamonds. And my reasoning for that is, if I'm vulnerable and my suit has some holes in it, even with an 8-card suit, 4 clubs or 4 diamonds can be a little bit dangerous if you're missing 1 or 2 of the high honors. And so you might downgrade that hand and just preempt at the 3 level in that case. And the other thing is, while 4 of a minor is pretty disruptive, I mean, it is a big preempt, and a lot of times that does a pretty good job. But let's also keep in mind that opening 4 clubs or 4 diamonds does not prevent the opponents from bidding 4 of a major, does it? Opening 5 of a minor does. If we open 5 clubs or 5 diamonds, they can't now bid 4 spades. Opening at the 4 level, we might be able to talk them out of bidding 4 of a major. Maybe neither of our opponents has the right hand to get in, or they have the wrong hand for a double or something like that, right? So I guess what I'm arriving at here is I'm not that attached to 4 of a minor. When I'm preempting in a minor, I'm usually thinking 3 level or 5 level. Certainly non-vulnerable 5 level can be very attractive. So that's what you're giving up, right? You're giving up a slightly more precise, usually with an 8-card suit, 4 clubs or 4 diamonds. I'm willing to give that up. And as we're going to see before we get out of here, you haven't even necessarily completely given that up. Okay, so you open Namyats, or your partner opens Namyats. What do? What does responder do? Well, you've got some options. You can be the one to bid 4 of the major yourself, or you can kick it back to your partner with a relay and make the Namyats bidder play the hand, right? Because we have a step in between. So if we get a 4 clubs Namyats bid showing hearts, if you're the responder and you want your partner to play it, you just bid the in-between step. Just bid 4 diamonds. By the way, these should all be alerted. Bid 4 diamonds and let your partner be the one to play 4 hearts. Or if it's spades and it's a 4 diamond opening, now you can bid 4 hearts and have the opener bid 4 spades. Or again, you can do it yourself. You can just bid 4 hearts or 4 spades on your own, provided you remember which suit partner has. Minor detail there, right? And you could have different reasons for wanting to play it yourself or wanting partner to play it. We will look at examples before we finish up here. You might think that there's no real reason for you to play it, so go ahead and let it play from partner side and have that stronger, more distributional hand be the closed hand. Or you might see an advantage to playing it from your side and bid it yourself. In any case, if you like the sound of this bid and you're thinking about a slam, what you're going to do is go through the relay, make partner bid, and then make your slam try, right? So you can force the opener to bid 4 hearts or 4 spades, and then you can bid a control, or you could bid 4-no to ask for key cards, or whatever approach you plan to take, right? So if you go through the relay step, partner doesn't know whether you're planning to pass or whether you're planning to make a slam try. Could be either, but that's all right, because remember that the opener has largely described the hand. Yeah, we don't know about every specific high card, but we have pretty good idea what partner has, right? So yeah, you might have to make a control bid at the 5 level. That does happen sometimes. But we also have to be careful, on a hand. Actually, we're going to look at this hand. You've got to be careful on a hand where you have a couple quick losers in an unbid suit. And so that's where you would prefer to take a control approach rather than immediately bidding 4-no trump. All right. Well, why don't we go back to the table here so we can try a couple of Namiat's hands here. Okay. I think this south hand fits the bill. It's probably, oops. Oh, we do want to let's get our alert on there. There we go. 4 clubs. I think this hand fits the bill. How many tricks do you have in the south hand? Well, we can call it 6 heart winners, right? We're missing the ace. 7-card suit, good 7-card suit, missing only the ace. We can call this 6 heart winners once the ace is out, plus our ace king of diamonds. That's an 8-trick hand if played in hearts, right? The rest of the hand, yeah, I don't know. We've got a couple quick spade losers. We don't know how good that doubleton queen of clubs is for us. It's a couple of points. We don't know whether those points are working real well or not. Okay. The north hand is not strong enough to be thinking about a slam, but you are committed to the 4 level. So we're going to play 4 hearts. What do you think? Do you want partner to play it, or do you want to play it? Maybe that decision is just, hey, we've gone through the first 3 rounds of the game and I haven't gotten to play a single hand yet. I think that I would be bidding it myself. And why do I want to bid it? King, queen of spades, and king of clubs. I think I would prefer a black suit lead coming into my hand. I can see a possible advantage to having the opening lead come into the north hand rather than coming into the south hand. Now, it turns out West has both black aces, as you can see, and it wouldn't matter on this hand. But I think, there's a fair chance that you get a lead like the jack of spades from East if you play it, right? Okay, I feel pretty good about that. Now I know the ace of spades is on side. And then it turns out that queen of clubs is a useful card because it means we don't have 2 club losers. We only have 1 club loser. So we have exactly 10 tricks here, right? We're going to lose 2 aces. We're going to lose 3 aces. But that's it. And it would play this if you decided to let partner play it. Same thing. other than maybe West has maybe a little more to deliberate before trying to figure out what to lead. A little harder hand to lead from. East has more of a natural spade lead here. Would you reach 4 hearts without playing Namiats? You might. I mean, if South jump rebids hearts, I think you can still get there, right? So it's not like you need the convention to get the game. I think you can get to this game. Playing Namiats makes it academic, right? But we're committed to 4 hearts now. Seems like it's worth a shot, though, right? All right, let's look at another one. Little bit different here. This hand actually only has 14 high card points. It is only a 5 loser hand if you're thinking in terms of losers. The suit's pretty good, right? It's missing king and 10. Not like there's anything wrong with opening 1 spade with this hand, but if we play Namiats, can we call this 7.5 tricks? I don't know. If we're being conservative, it might only be more like a 7 trick hand. I don't know. We've got a jack and a 10 in the minors to go with our kings. Those can be relevant. I think if we played it, I would do it. I think I would go with the 4 diamond opening. Okay, you're East. Decent hand here, right? Couple of aces and a few spades for partner. That can't hurt the cause. Is it enough to be looking for a slam? Probably not quite. The thought might cross my mind because I have 2 aces. I don't think I'm going to make a slam try here, though. I think I'm going to settle for 4 spades. And I think I'm going to have partner play it. And I'm going to relay back to 4 spades. Why is that my choice here? Because I have aces, but I don't have kings and queens, right? And so if partner has an outside king or queen or something like that, it might make more sense to have that opening lead come into partner's hand. So this is how we would get to 4 spades, this time declared by West. It's not far off from making a slam. I think you're getting a heart lead here, right? So I think what I would do here is I would win my ace and I would pitch a diamond in case the ace of diamonds is offside. I think I want to keep all of my clubs since I will probably at some point be finessing for the queen of clubs, which works. So you have to lose the king of spades and the ace of diamonds. King of spades is offside. 10 more tricks. So yeah, we got to lose the ace of diamonds and you're going to lose the king of spades. Not too far away from slam. The slam prospects would probably be a little more comfortable if that's the ace of diamonds and we didn't have that wastage in the heart suit. So as far as double, I don't know that I have any agreements with my partners about a defense to Namiats, whether double just shows that minor or whether it means something else. Absent any other discussion, I would have to think that a double of 4 clubs or 4 diamonds Namiats just shows that suit. Maybe it's suggesting a sacrifice. I suppose that's where that double would come in handy. If you think the opponents are, say, going to make 4 of a major, and it turns out that you have a big club or diamond fit, you might be sacrificing at 5 of your minor, right? So, yeah, that'll be some. I'll have to check on that, see if there's any sort of accepted or common defense. But, it's not like you're getting in over Namyats all that often because it is a good hand, right? We're a lot more interested in getting involved in the auction when the opponents open a natural preempt, when they're known to have a weak hand. But remember, Namyats is a good hand, right? It's a, 7.5, 8 loser, a 7.5 or 8 trick hand. Probably only like 5 losers like this, right? So the opponents have good stuff. So it's not like we're going to be missing anything very often. They're not preempting us. I mean, they are to a degree because of their bid, they're preempting us, but that's not, they are bidding to make on these Namyats auctions, right? So one more quick one, just to look at a possible slam effort. Now, this one looks a little different because North is missing both the ace and king of the hearts suit, but in terms of strength or tricks, it still is in the Namyat zone, I think. It's a 5 loser hand, right? And I like all the intermediates. I don't think I would be this excited about a Namyat's opening if it was Queen Jack empty, but since it's Queen Jack 10 9 8 7, I like that inner solidity of the suit there. Okay, now South only has 11 points, but maybe this is the right hand to be thinking about slam, because you've got the ace of partner suit. That's a big card. You have a source of tricks on the side, so those clubs could be useful. You do have a spade control with that singleton, and of course the glaring flaw with this hand is the diamond holding, right? Well, we could start with our relay if we're thinking about a slam try. So what we could do, and again, if you feel like you are comfortable at the 5 level, we could make partner bid 4 hearts, and then we don't want to use key card here. I mean, we would land on our feet if we did, but we don't want to end up in 6 hearts and watch them cash the ace and king of diamonds, right? We think partner is likely to have a diamond card or possibly diamond shortness, but we don't know for sure. So what would you think about trying to elicit a control bid from partner? So I could bid my ace of clubs, and my thought is, if partner cooperates and shows me a diamond control, I'll take a shot at this. Okay. Now, it is rather convenient. And again, we don't get to ask for key cards by doing this because our control bid was at the 5 level. Okay, we can't do everything, right? Now, turns out that partner has the king of clubs, which is a huge card here. So partner doesn't even have to risk a diamond finesse. They can draw trump and then run the clubs, right? If partner didn't have the king of clubs, then there's something else over there for that Namyat's opening, and maybe it's the king of hearts and we don't have a heart loser. In any event, it looks like you only need one working finesse, right? So we either need East to have the king of hearts and have the finesse and the trump suit work, or if we didn't have the king of clubs, if partner somehow had like the worst possible hand, like ace king of spades and 2 little clubs or something like that, even if that is the scenario, we only need one of 2 finesses to work, right? For the most part. I mean, that is still generally a 75% slam, if we want to give the crude numbers. If there are 2 available finesses and you only need one of them to work, you're 75% to make your slam. That's a pretty good slam. Now, again, this one's kind of close. I wouldn't call this an easy slam to bid, but it's probably, I don't know, Namiats might make it a little easier to find than some other auctions we might have. I want to mention one last thing before we wrap up. And that is, you are not required to play both of these conventions together. If you like Namiats and you want to play it, you could play Gambling 3-0, but you have another choice. What if you don't love Gambling 3-0 and instead you think, I still want to have my weak 4-level minor preempt? Well, you can do both. And all you have to do is tweak that Gambling 3-0 and just say that it's a 4 of a minor preempt. You would still have to alert it because it's not natural, but 3-0 opening, instead of being a solid minor suit, it could be any long minor suit that would want to preempt 4 clubs or 4 diamonds. So that's an option for you as well, right? If you play 3-0 as a minor suit preempt, we're going to use our passer correct, right? And we're going to use our passer correct most of the time. Because if you have a 4 of a minor preempt that is a weaker hand and not a solid suit, your partner's not going to want to be sitting for 3-0 trump. Not very often. You would need a really good hand to think about passing 3-0. And even that could be a bad idea if partner's likely to have an 8-card suit. Usually we want to play those in the suit, right? So we're going to want to make use of our passer correct thing here. If we've decided to play 3-0 as a minor suit preempt, responder can bid 4 clubs, and then the opener can either pass 4 clubs or correct to 4 diamonds. So there are some good options for you, right? And I think whatever you decide to do, whether you go with Gambling 3-0 and or Namiats, or you want to do this sort of thing where 3-0 becomes your minor suit preempt, in the end, you're really not giving much up, right? I mean, you essentially can show just about all the hand types that you would want to show. Now, again, if we're playing all of these things, we have to keep in mind that we are adding in a little bit of artificiality, and it's a little more to remember. And that's why I always tell people, hey, don't worry about this too much because it's not that likely to come up. These are less common, less frequent conventions. And so I wouldn't worry about this too much if you're hitting up the partnership desk at your local club or tournament. If you never get around to discussing what you're doing with these bids, don't worry about it. They're not likely to come up. But in your regular partnerships, if you want to add some refinements, I think these are good ones to consider. So, all right. We're going to talk some defense next time. We're going to talk about passive defense and how it can be and should be your friend on many hands. So how to profit from being passive.
Profit from passivity. Oh, do I ever need that lesson? I hate passing. Oh, thank you very much, Kurt. That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. I actually can't believe I've never done a class with those gadgets that I can recall. So, all right. There's a first time for everything, right?
When I very first started bridge, I had a really, really rough hand, and I used to go to BBO forums. And I had this one hand, it was a heart hand, and my partner and I, we spent hours trying to figure out how to do this. So somebody said, post it on BBO forums. So I did. And it was Justin Lau that answered. Oh. And at that point, yeah. I didn't know who Justin Lau was. But I was just so honored after I found out who he was that he would answer me. So that, a lot of respect there. And that's the first time I'd ever heard of Namiats.
Oh, so, there you go.
Excellent.
All
okay,
right.
Well, thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions, you can go to your members page. And there'll be a little thing on there, bridge questions, a little icon. Just click on that. And you can type your question in, and Kurt will answer you. And thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to all of those on replay. And we'll see you next time for profiting from passivity.
Another tongue twister, huh?
Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sometimes I overdo it with the alliteration. I just have a little too much fun with it. But all right, yeah, indeed. Thanks everybody. Thanks Babs, and
Thank
yeah,
you.
we'll look for everybody
Bye-bye.
next
Go
time.
Christmas shopping.
There you go.